So after over 15 years, I finally decided to upgrade my piste boots. So I've gone for these. This is the Salomon S Pro 130. This actually comes in two versions, the kind of mid-volume, which is what I have here, and the high-volume version. I actually assumed that I would need the high-volume version because I've got pretty wide feet, but in fact, having tried this on in the shop, I think this might be the right one for me. So this is a stiff, high-end boot which is targeted predominantly at advanced or expert skiers who are going to be skiing predominantly on piste. So, as the name suggests, it has a 130 flex rating, which is pretty much the upper end of flex ratings which you'll get for an everyday boot. You can get higher than that with specific race boots, but 130, 135 is pretty much the highest you'll find in the shop for a standard boot. So in theory this is as stiff as it gets, which should mean that it gives excellent control for hard on-piste carving. So the boot has purely an alpine sole, so there's no tech insert, so you can't tour in this. And it has a grip walk sole as well, which is kind of a development on the traditional alpine sole where you have, as the name suggests, grip underneath, but it's still purely for a traditional alpine binding. You can't use this as a touring binding. So you do need to make sure that your skis are compatible, or rather your bindings are compatible with the grip walk sole, because if they're not, then you might have too much friction and they won't have proper lateral release if you crash. But most bindings these days on piste and all mountain skis are grip walk compatible, so you should be fine. But you need to make sure, you need to look out for the grip walk logo on the bindings, or at least on the box. So this is a standard 4-buckle boot with a power strap at the top. So the two lower foot buckles have micro adjustment available by rotating the clip. So you get a few mil adjustment in terms of length there. And then the top two buckles, as is often the case, have a micro adjustment by rotating the clip, but also macro adjustment by you can change the position of the casing here as well, just by unscrewing it with a, I think maybe a 20 or 25 mil Torx key or star key. So yeah, that's pretty standard for an on-piste boot. And again, the power strap at the top, again pretty standard. This one's relatively thin and light. The only major difference compared to other ones is this is riveted to the inside of the boot at the back rather than going all the way around the outside, which just means that it's less likely to slip around and stays in place better. So in the mid-volume version which I have here, the boots are listed as having 100mm last. That is the maximum width on the inside of the shell, which roughly corresponds with the width of your foot. So the measurement is generally taken off of the 26.5 shell, whereas these are 27.5 shells, so this will be slightly bigger than that out of the box as it is. But 100mm width is generally considered somewhere in the mid-range of the volume. A very narrow boot might have a 96mm and a wide might have a 1 in 4, 1 in 6. But in addition to the 100mm width, these are stated as being custom moldable and stretchable up to 106mm in this version, and the high volume version is stretchable up to 108mm, so that can accommodate very, very wide feet. Some boots have very limited customization and moldability, and then they're only able to be stretched in certain positions relative to where you might have bony spurs on your foot, for example, whereas these can be stretched in all directions, whole of the shell, the boot and the cuff. That's something that makes these stand out from other competitors. So I haven't had these moulded yet because they actually have remarkably good comfort straight out of the box. So I'm going to be testing them today and tomorrow, and I'll probably go back and have them fitted properly, but just straight away out of the box you can ski these and they are pretty comfortable as it is. So I'm interested to see how I feel after a few hours on the piste with them. I expect I will need some customization, and it's great that there is so much customization available, but you could buy these boots and then ski them as it is without needing to do any modifications if you wanted to. So there's lots of customization in terms of being able to stretch and mould these shells, but there's not actually any customization on the boot itself in terms of being able to adjust the canter or the forward lean. Some of them don't actually state on their website or in the box exactly what the figures are, but I have read somewhere else online that these have got a 12.5 degree forward lean and a 4 degree ramp angle, which actually puts them relatively upright in terms of an aggressive boot. But it'll be interesting to see how they feel if they ski like an upright boot or if they ski like a good aggressive forward leaning boot. The two pieces of adjustment the boots do have is on the back, you've just got a simple softer and stiffer two screws here which basically take that out and you flip the piece around. I'm yet to work out which way is softer and which way is stiffer, But yeah, you flip this piece round, screw it back in, and in theory that adjusts the stiffness by a little bit. The other piece of adjustment is the spoiler on the back of the boot here. Unlike a lot of boots, that's not actually attached to the shell, that's attached to the liner, and it's actually stuck by Velcro. So it's super easy to adjust, and no need to screw anything out, unscrew anything, move anything up and down, just simply move on, and good to go. Of course, you can take it off and ski around if you wanted to. Depends how aggressively you want to ski. I've got it, or rather, I will be having it set quite high to begin with because I want to see just how aggressively I can ski these boots. That's a good opportunity to move on to the liner itself. So this is Salomon's race liner. So this is their top end, stiff, aggressive liner, which they use in all their race boots, just in different colours. So yeah, this is about as good as you can get from Salomon, which is great that it's in their standard range as well. And this has a seamless technology, which again, in theory, makes it much more comfortable. There's no seams on the outside, on the liners, which are going to dig into your foot. Also, just makes it look really sleek as well, and it makes it easier to get the shell in and out of the boot. So I've already mentioned the stiffened spoiler at the back, which you can take off. They also have a rigid plastic chin piece on the tongue, which again, that adds to the stiffness and aggressiveness of the boot. And then the rest of the boot is basically Salomon's own version of neoprene, which is fully customizable. They call it it has a 4D custom fit, which basically means it's got 3D fit. And so yeah, the entire liner will mould to your foot when you have it heat molded. So again, having tried these on briefly in the shop, it's got a very comfortable feel on the inside as well. It's very easy to get your foot in and out. It's very smooth, very soft feel. It's not just, you're not just putting your foot straight into the kind of rubbery neoprene feel of the boot. There's a thin textile covering basically on the inside as well. So that's a very brief overview of the boot. I'll be giving a much more detailed overview and indeed a review once I've had a chance to use these, but for now that's just my first impressions. And my first impressions are, having tried them on in the shop, that they are very comfortable straight out of the box. I love the colour scheme, it looks great. I'm not going to lie, part of the reason I bought these is because the colour scheme almost matches my new Airline skis, which is what I want to be using these for. So yeah, I love the dark blue and the kind of fluorescent yellow. And my first impression when I did try them on is, considering that they are a 130 stiffness boot, they actually felt quite soft and quite flexible. But that's partly because they've been inside for 6 months in a warm shop. I'm sure if I was using these in the middle of winter out in the mountain, they would feel stiffer. But for now, they actually feel quite flexible, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. I'll soon find out. But yeah, they're not as stiff as I was expecting, a 130 boot feel out of the box, but I'm sure they ski excellently regardless. I shall have to go find out. Speaking of which, I've got a couple of hours free to spare now, so I'm going to head straight out onto the piste, get a little bit of immediate testing in now. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the part 2 where we're actually using these out on the slopes, and then in a few weeks' time I'll give a more detailed review with all the specifications and all the technology involved in the boots. But for now, goodbye and thanks for watching.